Greetings, New Life family. Just with all that's going on, as we've been praying, I feel like God has just kind of even highlighted to me an area of folks to pray about, having dealing with stress, dealing with people who may have depression and things of that nature. So I've been praying for them, and I just feel like it was a good opportunity to introduce our kind of broader New Life family to a gentleman and his family that are part of the New Life family, and he is a marriage and family counselor, therapist, and I just wanted to introduce him because I feel like he has some very practical things that we can use and some insight that we can use just in our ability to have good mental health during this time. And so I want to introduce Matt to you today, Matt McKeithen, and tell him a little bit about yourself, Matt. I know that you have a background that's pretty extensive, and one of the things you'd mentioned to me was some humanitarian work that you've done. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thanks, Derrick, for the introduction. I appreciate it. So when I was in the U.S. Navy, I spent 4 years in the Navy, served in Iraq and that region. I was on an aircraft carrier. And during 2004, my ship actually got assigned to humanitarian leave in Indonesia in 2004. And if you remember back in 2004, there was a huge tsunami that it impacted several different continents, and Indonesia was at the front and center. I mean, this was an earthquake that was a 9.3, and it slowed the Earth's rotation. It was so big, and it created a huge tsunami in the city that my ship went to. They lost over 25,000 people in just a matter of minutes. And
wow.
The city, it was about a 60,000 population city, so you can imagine the stress and the anxiety that those people experienced and suffered. And it was intense. And so my ship partnered with the UN and several other navies. We were the largest seagoing vessel. We had an aircraft carrier, had about 65,000 sailors, or 6,500 sailors. And we were assigned there for about 6 and 7 months. And I thought it was an exciting opportunity. I decided to volunteer and fly on helicopters every day and go on shore duty and provide direct support to the victims in the hardest hit city, the hardest hit continent, and of the hardest hit area of this whole tsunami thing. And what I didn't know is that being a low man on the totem pole is I couldn't unvolunteer once I signed up. And I was there for 6 months, going to shore every day, providing humanitarian relief and supplies to these desperate people. But the whole time there were these huge aftershocks. I mean, this was a 9.3 earthquake, so we're talking 6.5, 5.6, huge aftershocks that were ongoing for weeks. And we were all looking at each other when it would shake, and we would think, is there another wave coming? Is this happening again? And that pales in comparison, my experience, to the experience that actual people that were there in those moments, what they were going through. I mean, there was people that lost everything. And so in that 6 months, I saw desperation. I saw what it was like when they get hungry, when they lose everything. They don't know what's coming around the corner, what's next. And in my own mind as a young man, I was just thinking, like, how long is this going to go on? How long can I keep doing this? Every day was just so stressful. And it was quite an experience to understand a little bit about human nature and how we respond to things.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, being there in those extreme environments, and what a wonderful opportunity to to serve the Lord. What a wonderful opportunity to experience that. Even though, I mean, it sounds crazy. So you were there for like 6-7 months, and then another thing you'd mentioned to me is, I mean, just being in the Navy, there are times that you were underwater or at sea for how long?
Yeah, pardon my French, but it was a tour from hell. We left our home were in Everett, Washington, and we were gone for, it was the longest deployment in 31 years. I mean, there was a period there of several months where we didn't see any land for 6-7 months, just no land on the ship, no ports. And this was during wartime, during the Iraq campaign. So we went from the Iraq campaign to the Indonesia relief, and it was just a very long period of time, very stressful. And I remember one of the things that's kind of synonymous with what we're experiencing is being on board a ship for that long period of time and not seeing land. You're kind of quarantined. You don't have the option to go out and get a nice meal at a restaurant, or you can't go bowling, especially on a ship. It's a big ship. But so you couldn't do a lot of the same things, but everybody had a job to do, and everybody seemed to find an outlet, something that was a relief to them. And so one of the things that I kind of took from that is that in order to avoid cabin fever, which is essentially what some people would get, the majority of people, they just focused on the task at hand and what they could control and what they could do. But then they also, when the day was over, they had something to escape in, some relief. Like for me, I like to read. I was going to online school. I like to play guitar. I had something that I could escape into, but something that I could also kind of become productive. Like I feel like I'm growing in some area. And I think that kind of can relate to what we're experiencing right now, where, if we combine these two scenarios that I just illustrated, we're all on the same ship together. Nobody knows where this thing is going, and people are scared. And
right.
And that's okay. It's okay to be scared. But what's not okay is to let the fear cripple you and keep you from doing things and focusing on what's important.
Right.
That's what I would like to talk about.
Right. Well, that's the one of the key words you said in what you in the last statement you made really rang a bell with me, because I feel like that's something that the Lord has just been helping me with is the word productive. You don't think about that kind of in your normal life, but it's like that's a pretty big ingredient to our well-being, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I mean, there's all this research that shows that, if you treat yourself like you matter and, you stay busy and productive, I mean, you put on your clothes like you're going to work, even though you're not. You're signaling to your body and your subconscious that, hey, I matter. Hey, I have a purpose. I got to do something. It's, I keep myself busy, as opposed to we're just, not making our bed and letting the day take hold of us. We become more reactive to the day. We become more reactive to people. We become more stressed. It's very healthy to be productive and find something that you can grow into and do during a stressful time, because it's like mental floss. It's providing ongoing maintenance to your brain and signaling to your subconscious that, hey, this stuff is important. But steeping in the worry and the fear, Jesus said, have all your fears added a moment to your life? And the answer is absolutely not. It's not saying that you can't fear. That's okay. But what's important is that you pursue a position of strength, not security, because security is not guaranteed. But strength, especially strength through God, that's a guarantee, and that will get you weather you through any storm.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I know for a fact that just even from some of our conversations before that, I think we could talk for hours and hours. But let me ask you this, because I feel like this is important. If for someone who's dealing with, some depressions, or maybe they had some of these kinds of things going on before this, the coronavirus, quarantine happened and all this happening, are there some steps that you could just kind of put out there to our New Life family that of how to stay mentally healthy during this time?
Absolutely. I'd say these steps probably are good outside of the situation that we're all in, and we could just do these ongoing. But
good.
I guess really it's anxiety is more the future and depression is more the past. The things that we could have controlled or we didn't do or we regret. A lot of what's going on right now is more kind of the anxiety realm of what's to come. And typically anxiety is from the belief that your personal capacity to handle challenges that are ahead, the challenges are going to outweigh that personal capacity. So in reality, what I do with a lot of my patients sometimes is challenge that a little bit. It's like, what evidence do you have that you're not going to be able to handle the challenges ahead? You're here now and you're breathing, and there's been a lot of periods in your life when you didn't know how it was going to turn out, and you got through it. Like when you learned to swim as a kid. I mean, how scary was that? Thinking practically, first it's good to understand that it's a lot about beliefs that we don't know that we have the ability to overcome the unknown, and we just kind of look to our past that there was those things that I overcame, and the things you didn't, well, you learn from them. And so these challenges ahead start to take on a little bit different of a meaning. They may be unknown. You can become braver, you can become stronger from them, whatever they might be. So some of the things you can do, like at home, I mentioned the schedule earlier, keeping yourself busy, my wife created an awesome schedule for our family. It's got like school time, art time on there. Everybody's doing something at a certain time, and I'm trying to reference it. And, okay, what am I supposed to be doing here? And, but it does help. And then, have some relaxation time at the end of the day to kind of just steep in God's word. Allow that steeping time what you steep in changes you. So one of the things that we had mentioned earlier when we were talking on the phone was, reducing the bombardment. If we're going to write something down, like that's it. That's number one source of anxiety, is reduce bombardment. I mean, there's so many things coming at us that are designed to maintain our attention and to get our dopamine centers flowing in our brains and to get us wanting more. Well, the things that are more important kind of move at a slower pace. And so we have to find a way
I like that.
Hard against that. So one of the things I do is like the news, right? We have that balance where, you kind of want to be in the know, but you don't want to expose yourself to something that's creating you stress, and we're all it's easy to glue into it right now. One of the things you can do is eliminate your, or let me rephrase that, is create a condition where you're watching the news as a reward. So like if you spend some time doing a devotional in God, give God your first fruits. Spend time with him, seek into the word, steep into it, go into some declarative prayers saying, Lord, I love you. You are my guide. You are getting me through this. And then go into the news for a little bit under a small period of time, and then create a release after, stress release. Do some exercise, go for a walk around the block, kind of reset yourself. It's better than doing it on your phone at night when you're tanked and you're just scrolling through and there's no self-regulation, and that is a big problem. And if we can kind of eliminate some of the bombardment and create some conditions around it, which we expose ourselves to it, then we're setting ourselves up for strength and we're building some mental fortitude.
Right. Well, I think that we're going to have to do this again. I mean, some of the things that you're talking about are just like, it's like, wow, I can put this into practice right away. So I hope to have you to have a conversation with you again, just to share with the church family. But let me ask you this: if I know that you are doing virtual counseling, if someone wanted to contact you for that kind of thing, are you taking on clients now? Or are you just kind of holding at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. If there's people out there that are needing some help and some guidance during this time, and it is a difficult time, and I'd offer my services to anyone that's seeking it. And, so I can get and connect with you. If they want to go through you, they can get my information. Yeah.
Actually, why don't you just, if you'd like to, you can just share direct contact right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to get in touch with me, my email is Matt, M-A-T-T-P, and then that's Keith and my last name. That's M-C-K-E-I-T-H-A-N, and then that's at gmail.com.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hey, well, God bless you, Matt, and thank you for sharing your wisdom. And like I said before, we'll definitely just continue this conversation. I appreciate it so much.
Sounds good. God bless you.
All right. God bless you. God bless you, church family. Have a wonderful day.